What is up, guys? This is Sekokyo, your virtual lecturer. Welcome to the Lab 3 demonstration about IP addressing. So since some of y'all want me to do this, so that's why I'm back with the ViewTable model for my introduction. Maybe just the introduction, not the whole video, right? Let's try to do something interesting for this introduction before we start the lab demonstration. What can I do? Maybe I should sing y'all Fly Me to the Moon. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. Okay, maybe that's enough for today. So enjoy your lab demonstration and see you next time.
Let's get started with this short demonstration for your lab tree. What we need inside this lab is 3 virtual machines installed. You're going to have a swing router in the middle over here. Even though this one is like shown as a router icon, in this lab we're going to use Windows Server 2016 act as a router. So you have to have your Oracle VirtualBox on, and then don't forget when you want to install your Windows 10 or your Windows Server 2016, make sure that your network set as internal network, alright, before you install your machine. Okay, let's see what we need to have here. Our aim is to configure IPv4 address, to observe the purpose of default gateway, and to observe the purpose of subnet mask. Alright, our preliminary setting, it asks you to download and install and launch Windows Server 2016 as your router, PC1 and PC2. The second instruction is check the Visual PC network configuration and ensure the Visual PC have connected to the correct network, internal network with the correct name. Alright, as you learn in the lab 1, virtual switch is the one over here. Set your network, you see the name over here, that's your virtual switch name. Basically, if you are changing this name over here, for example this PC1, this is your PC1 over here, right? And then if it says like Horton over here, meaning it connected to this LAN, local area network, or virtual switch called Horton. PC2 over here we're gonna have at Sarawak, right? See, network at Sarawak, virtual switch connected to Sarawak. Okay, next part is you need to ensure that the router, you see router, see it have connected to 2 different network, aka to the Horton and the Sarawak virtual switch. How to do that? You click to your router, click setting, go to the network, and adapter 1 go to Horton over here, left side, and then adapter 2 to Sarawak. See, we have this 2 selection. If you don't have any selection, you need to type it in, and then make sure that the other PCs are connected to the correct local area network. Next step, it says like to ensure that virtual PC, PC1 and PC2 have IP addresses configured as outlined in the topology. This one is a topology. Alright, so it says PC1 need to connect to this IP address. Let me zoom in for you. Alright, how to connect to that IP address, how to change your IP address. You go to your PC1, you see you have your PC1 over here. Right click over here, go to Open Network Internet Setting, and then change adapter option. The Ethernet over here, double click, properties, Internet Protocol version 4, and then use the following IP address. So the following IP address will be 172.16.32 and 101. Subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Alright. Okay. Alright, how about the PC2 next, right? Alright, PC2 as well. Make sure it have correct subnet mask as well. Alright. In the next step it says, alright, firewall setting, please go to lab 1. You need to make sure that the firewall setting is either with the correct setting, aka disable your firewall for file and printer sharing. However, to make everything easier, just turn off your firewall. How to do that? You go to start, you go to firewall network protection. Alright, you see over here, this is what you see. How to turn it off? Then you're going to just click here, turn off. This one as well, turn off. And the last one. Alright, it will take time for this thing to update. Alright, as you can see over here, it's already all turned off. Alright, it's not recommended for you to turn off your firewall. However, for this virtual machine labs, turning off the firewall will kind of make your life easier. So there you go. How about your PC1? Let me check. This one still have this domain network firewall on. Let me turn it off as well. Alright, so you turn off your firewall, set up your IP address. How about inside your router over here? You need to have this one. Alright, okay, you need to remember it asks you to Control Alt Delete to unlock. You go to input, keyboard, Control Alt Delete. Put your, while we wait for our Windows server to load, then we can go to PC1. So PC1, alright. On PC1, click Start and select PowerShell. You can also use your command prompt to do this. Alright, it says ipconfig and click Enter. ipconfig. So this is your output over here. Your IPv4, subnet mask, you don't have any default gateway, and connection specific DNS, you don't have anything. Alright. So we will now use ping command to see which devices can communicate with our current IP configuration. Ping stands for packet intergroup group. Basically, it tries to communicate with the devices. All right. Okay. This one then you don't need to do. Oh, I also forgot to tell you, because of the situation we are facing in this semester, we are trying to decrease the load that the student need to do. So basically, for this one, instead of running a lot more devices, we are reducing the devices that you need to run inside your virtual machine by canceling one of the devices. It doesn't really affect the things that you learn that much as well, so you don't need to worry. You can replace this question over here by pinging your Swin router. Let me change this for a bit. Alright, since we want to try to ping this one over here, because it is in the same local area network, it should work. Let me go to the Windows server Windows server, aka your router, to configure the IP address first. Open that one, change the data setting. The user interface over here is slightly different. Okay, so hotend site over here, I renamed this already. If not, it will be named as Ethernet 1 and Internet 2. So I need to properties, go to the TCP IP, change it to this address over here, and the Sarawak site will be the 10.10.10.1. You see? Alright, click OK. Alright. PC1, ping the 16.32.1. It should work. As you can see, if it works, it displays something like this. So let's try to ping our PC2. Remember just now we already set up our PC2 as 10.10.10.102. Ping 10.10.10.102. It shouldn't work. Why? Because PC2 is inside different network. PC2, however, can ping. Alright, let's try to go to PC2. This is your PC2. Command prompt. Since the 10.10.1 is inside the same LAN as PC2, it should be able to ping. See? Ping 10.10.10.1, because this side of the connection is connected to the Sarawak local area network. So that's why PC2 can communicate to this one. However, PC2 cannot communicate to PC1, or PC2 also cannot communicate with the 172.16.32.1 because it's in different network or different subnet. In order to communicate on any IPv4 network, devices need an IP address and a subnet. Right, we already have that. Without an IP address and subnet mask, the device cannot communicate on the network. With only an IP address and subnet mask, the device can communicate with the devices that are connected to the network segment and configured with an IP address in the same subnet. And this one is very important. If a device needs to communicate with a device in another network segment and subnet, then the network needs a router. The IP address of a local port of the router, i.e. the port on the device subnet, must be configured as default gateway. Because 10.10.10.102 is in different subnet, we expect the ping to fail when no default gateway address is configured. Alright, Swin router currently connected to two networks, just now as you can see. Two networks, Houghton and Sarawak. Windows Server 2016 could be configured to act as a router to connect these two different networks together. So basically right now, we need to configure this Windows Server 2016 to act as a router. To do that, you need to install roles for it to act as a router, to connect that two together to enable it to communicate. So how are we gonna do that? We're going to go to Manage, Add Roles and Feature. We click Next. Installation type is role based. Next again, and then we go over here, Remote Access. Alright, click Next. This one is automatically chosen for you. Next, and then we click Routing Function. Add Feature. Next, and Install. Then we need to wait for it to install. Alright, over here, the installation is complete. It says configuration required. You click Close first. So basically, after the installation just now, you need to configure your routing. Alright, just now after you install your roles, it says you still need to do your configuration. To do that, you go to Tools. You go to Routing and Remote Access. Over here, you right click, configure and enable routing and remote access. We have our wizards over here. Click Next, and then Custom Configuration. Next, LAN Routing. Next, Finish. Wait for a bit, and then Start Service. Alright, now the routing for the local area network is connected. The service is started. So what does the service do? The service basically route the Sarawak side to the Houghton side together to form a network, so they can access to each other. Basically, this router in the middle connected these two network together to form a one network. Okay, on Swin PC1, make sure that you have your correct virtual machine. It says go to Internet Properties just now, adapter option, and change the default gateway. What is a default gateway? Default gateway is basically the address of your router over here. As you can see, this router, this port of the router is connected to 172.16.32. So the PC1 need to know the address where the last port of the current local area network before it route to the next port or the next network over here. So for PC1, the default gateway will be this, because that is the last point of the current local area network. Alright, as the lab file says that you should be able to ping this computer over here. Let's try that out, shall we? As you can see, you cannot ping it still. Why? Because just now we haven't yet to configure the default gateway for 10.10.10.102, meaning that 102 still doesn't know which is the endpoint of its local area network. However, because we already routed from here, we should be able to ping the other side of the router, aka 10.10.10.1. Oops. 10.10.10.1. That should work. If you want to ensure that we can ping PC2, PC2 also need to be configured to have the same default gateway. So PC2 also need to know where is the end of its local area network. So in this case, it will be at this port of the router, 10, 10, 10, 1. That will be the default gateway, the last point of PC2 Sarawak LAN. Alright. After we change it, from PC1, we should be able to ping PC2. If we're able to ping PC2, means PC2 can ping PC1 as well. Alright. So that's the usage of default gateway. So basically it's at the end of the LAN connection before going to another LAN connection or other connections. So basically it's the endpoint in your local area network. For example, for this one, Horton, this IP address is the endpoint of this LAN, and for Sarawak, the 10.10.10.1 is the endpoint for Sarawak LAN. So the computer, both of these computers need to be configured to have the default gateway, right, for each of the LAN, and the router need to route these two LAN together to connect them so they can communicate. However, you need to also remember that a firewall can block this connection from happening. I'm not forgetting to mention the usage of subnet mask is technically to search the network address of each IP addresses, that you can compare it using ending method or different method that you learned before. So that's about it for this lab demonstration. Alright, thank you for watching. I hope this lab demonstration made it clear about your lab tasks. So if you like this video, leave a like. Don't forget to leave a comment down below and share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Alright, thanks for watching. See you next time.